Talofa lava and welcome back to Breaking Waves. You're back with your host Hana, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. Her name is Dr. Tafili Utumapu-McBride, who is the senior lecturer at the Auckland University of Technology. Talofa lava and good afternoon. Doctor, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Hana. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. I'm a senior lecturer at AATA University in the School of Education, and I'm also one of the co-directors of AATA, Amata, Transnational Aotearoa Limited.
Amazing. Thank you for coming onto our show. I'm really inspired by your story and also your research. Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
I came to New Zealand as a 2-year-old with my parents, and not to run away from Samoa, but to support the families back home and also to put myself through education here. My father is from Safotu, Ingasā Utumapu from Safotu, and also has links to Libya as well. My mum, she's from Levisale Moa, but also has links to Apolima and to Siumo as well. I was raised by my parents as an only child, but I'm not an only child. I do have siblings as well. I've got sisters who live in 3 of them who live in Australia, and I've also got a brother who's also passed on. Life growing here, it's all been about education and that. I was raised in a traditional Samoan family where the language was only Samoan, other than turning on the TV, watching Sesame Street or Play School, and that's when, that's where the English filtered through in our house.
I see. And tell us about your work in Whalapepe.
I think with Whalapepe, it's been a revival of, the whala, for our babies, but it's also bringing awareness in terms of, because a lot of people don't know, and I know that when I was having conversations with one of my sisters who spent quite a bit of her time growing up back home, and she said to me, o mea nganga whai aso ia. So it was, sort of like, it's about the revival of the whala in terms of, its uses, and also, to treasure the first whala, the first mat, for babies, and we discovered through our advisory members who said that it's just for our baby girls, like the first, because it's the first baby. And we're sort of like, because we didn't know that bit, and then I thought about it, and I thought it's the case because o ngai awhoi o tangata Samoa e teo me o whala po ia tonga, mō lātou tamatene, for the girls, especially the first one, the eldest, when they marry, so I think that's what I thought about in terms of
And then they can pass those whalas down to their children?
They're passed on, as I said, the first wedding and that, and also other things that happen.
Your research has a lot to do around Samoan culture and the Western world. Tell us a bit about your research.
I think another thing which might interest with my PhD research, the title is Bautu. So it was looking at the role of women and the traditional, so it's like looking at Samoan women, they do everything. They are the, in families and also in the church, and I say this respectively. Yes, men are the heads of the household and all of the stuff in terms of the lotu and Samoa, but o tātou tina, they are the movers and shakers of our families, the church, and all sorts of organisations. So, and through the Aoga Amata, because, when it first started, it was through the work of our women, Mafutanga Tina, and also the leadership of Whaletua, the ministers' wives, whether it was FAKSA or the Methodist churches or, Assembly of Gods or PIC. So those women's group under the leadership of Le Whaletua, they were the ones who were, because they were concerned about Ngangana Samoa. Because they could see what was happening also with the revival, i tangata whenua i Māori, in terms of the Koanga Reo movement. So it was all of that as well. But I think even further than that, in terms of the research of the the whaletua from back home. They have brought that in terms of wanting to maintain, the language, because it's the best time to maintain the language is when they're young, because when they're older, it becomes quite difficult.
True.
In terms, and I say this also because of my own role as a mum raising, children. My children, because my husband is Balangi, so there's that issue in terms of trying to maintain two languages, because my children are not fluent, but it's it is something that it's a work in progress. I personally think our language is important. It holds all the secrets and everything about being Samoan, and I think it's the same for the the languages for our other groups as well. I'm a senior lecturer at AUT. I teach on the B.Ed. I'm the main coordinator of the Pacific specialty. And quite a few of those students, there's a whole variety of students in that class, not only Samoan. We have Tonga, we have Niue, Cook Island, Tuvalu in the class, and also some non-Samoans, Balangi, Māori, students from South Africa. So there's a whole, and that they and they talk about their issues with things that they're concerned about, and they talk about being plastic.
That's a huge conversation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they talk about plastic and they're insecure, the fact that that they're not 100% fluent. They're trying their best, and and then we have our presentations, and it gives them an opportunity to do a poem or a skit or present their artifact, and the feedback that I get from from the students is that they value having a safe space where they're not judged. So to me, that says a lot.
Yeah, and in those spaces they can unpack those hard conversations. I think what I have also picked up is, if you're a person who stands on, Samoan language is so important. And for me personally, this is a personal opinion, is that our language is the end all and be all of Samoan culture, because that's what roots all of our traditions and practices. That kind of makes that statement alone can cause harm. It makes people feel less Samoan. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've always had a strong opinion on Ngangana Samoa. And I think it's strong for me because of the conversations that I've had with my parents,
right?
Especially Mum, and Mum passed away this year. So, and I think I couldn't have had those special conversations. I couldn't have held on to the ngawhale ainga if I didn't have those conversations. And even with the elders, my dad's brothers, my uncles and aunties, I've had some really deep and meaningful talanoanga tato ngangana. So and it's not it's not the same if it's not there, but I've had to tone down because I've because of my children, o te alofa I lo whanau, e le Aotearoa le ngangangana, and that'll be their journey. You know, it's not my journey. It is their journey, but it's to you know, it's like, but I can see that, like, even at Sunday school, you know, to see the hard work that's gone in to maintain the, you know, our language, naturally the singing and all of that, and also for the disconnection with our youth. So it is not easy. It is not easy, but it's to give people the sense of belonging. To me, that is most important.
That's a good way to put it. And with your own journey, I see that you had strong parents who enforced, you know, you had to speak Samoan at home. And I'm sure as you grew older, you really appreciate now that those...
I do. It's you know, it's like the prayers. It's like tūmanga, you know that saying, e loa le teine ma le tama sa moe, tūmanga, langa, you know, savali and everything. That's true. Ma le whaaloalo. You can tell the way they speak, you know, the way they speak, and also le vā, you know, the vā whialoa I leo mamatua, or whoever, even within siblings as well. So to me, you know, those are important. You can tell.
Thanks for sharing that with us. And, you know, just from your own, you know, you have children now who are awhakasi. Well, some people don't like to use the word awhakasi, who are mixed blood. And you yourself have gone through a different journey. What is your advice for younger people who are wanting to reconnect? Some tips to help them reconnect with their Samoan identity.
I think one of the most important things is the ngafa le ainga. And to me, I've been privileged to have had the ngafa through, you know, my father's side and also through my mother's side, but it's also about research and trying to maintain that. But it's also having, you know, conversations. You know, with children, it's quite, it's ongoing, but it's doing it in such a way, you know, tautala male alofa. And sometimes I have to tone down because my kids are saying to me, you know, we're not that or whatever. So, you know, there's a time and a space, but I think it's like they need to know their ngafa, they need to know who they're, and also, you know, taking them to functions and that. My girls in the beginning came to church. They never made it to Sunday school, but my husband took them to the market. He took them to the Takapuna market on a Sunday. And as a result of that, I lost my kids. I lost the girls. They saw Sunday as, you know, it was that special time of their father. So, you know, and then it was just Mum and I going off to church. But, church is important. Church is important in terms of grounding and all of that. But it's also about the maftanga, what happens in the family as well. It's the conversations. It's also the prayers. And I it's even praying over our children, because there lots of peer pressure, you know, for teenagers.
There is, and the challenges they're facing are on a different scale. Like, especially online, social media pressure, online pressure, and pressure in school and things like that. But I feel like when you're grounded in God and your community and your Samoan identity, that's an armor when you go through those challenges. So I appreciate you sharing your advice on, you know, reconnecting with your family. There's also a lot of discussion around gatekeeping culture. I don't think anyone can gatekeep culture from you except your family. The only reason you feel someone else is gatekeeping is because you feel they have the keys. They're the only one who has the keys to that. But I'm not sure where that conversation stems from in regards to gatekeeping, but I feel like it's a stem from that lack of connection with
Yeah,
Samoa and their
yeah,
identity.
yeah.
And it's great that you say it's speaking to your own family members. It comes from home.
Yeah. Sometimes the gatekeeping is because of, you know how some of the elders, they hold on to the ngafa and they don't share it with you.
True.
But it's through having conversations with them, and then they open up. And there's this assumption that you are not mature enough.
Right.
But you do their fe'au so many times, and you start having that engagement with them, and then they open up. And I also think doing well in your education is also an inlet for the elders to let you in. Yeah.
Why does that happen in your opinion? For
Why
elders
does
to gatekeep certain knowledge, is there like a certain maturity that they feel?
Because they probably think that you're not old enough to have that knowledge. And I think for me, I used to love talking, you know, as I say, doing the chores, alu, you know, looking after, you know, my father's sister, for example. And I also strongly believe that whamanuianga, or the blessing from looking after the elders, you know, looking after, it's like for myself, you know, looking after my dad, you know, Mum and I doing that, even though he was not well, and the same for, you know, for me with my mum. So, you know, there are blessings that come from looking after our parents, you know, for example. And as I was saying, with culture and identity and having that sense of belonging, things come to you for a reason, because they can see that you're someone who takes an interest, and just the way that you hold yourself. Wisdom doesn't just come to you. It is God gifted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you so much, Dr. Tafili Utumapu-McBride. Thank you for coming onto the show and sharing with us your experiences, and also what you've learned with the students that you work with. Is there any last words that you'd like to share?
Thank you for this opportunity, Hana. I think the last thing I'd like to say is that, you know, we have to look for I call it with my children, we have to look for your place, you know, and it'll come to you, you know, it'll come through the whispers, it comes in, you know, those special conversations, and just, you know, and it'll, But, you know, there is, language is important, but you've got to find that sense of connection and you know, and sense of belonging, and as I said to you, because of my girls, it's like, you know, they will get to their place, you know, wherever that is, but they're getting there with the love and the guidance and support from their family. They're not doing it alone. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Tafili.